What's up everybody and welcome to the Fight franchise and our preview and prediction of the main event of UFC 298 where Alexander the Great Volkanovski takes on Ilia Topuria defending his featherweight title. This has become quite an interesting matchup after what happened last year to Volkanovski and the surge and rise of Ilia Topuria and his unrivaled confidence recently has made this an anticipated and interesting matchup. Let's kind of look into the history of these two guys recently and find out how we got here. So Alexander Volkanovski had kind of done brilliantly over the past few years defending his featherweight title against Brian Ortega, Max Holloway now on multiple occasions, beating the Korean Zombie. And in 2023, after kind of clearing the division with no clear contender, he would decide to go up in weight and go for undisputed lightweight gold and become a champ and face Islam Makhachev in February of 2023. This was a brilliant matchup in Alexander Volkanovski's hometown where he fought brilliantly and fought to a very close decision. The decision went in favour of Islam Makhachev. No qualms about that. It was a very close fight and many fans did say Volkanovski should have won and you can argue he could have won, but it didn't go in his way. But he fought valiantly in a brilliant fight and then there was talks that eventually he would go back up again. But at the meantime, Yair Rodriguez won he won the interim featherweight title, earning a title shot against Alexander Volkanovski. Those two fought in the main event of International Fight Week where Alexander Volkanovski schooled Yair Rodriguez, finishing him in the third round and put on a brilliant performance. And then it was kind of like, what's next for Volkanovski? Does he go up after a brilliant fight? Does he stay and defend his title? There was no clear-cut answer what he was going to do. Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi was supposed to fight Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira pulled out due to injury where Alex Volkanovski stepped in on short notice and Volk was hyped up for this bout. He was like, I'm here to chase greatness. I'm going to do it. It was close the first time. I'm going to win and I'm going to make up the yards and go over the line and this time go home with the undisputed lightweight title and 2 belts. That didn't happen in Abu Dhabi. Islam Makhachev schooled Alex Volkanovski in the first round, landed a vicious head kick, wobbled Volkanovski and then smashed him on the ground with hammer fists and ground and pound to viciously KO him. After the KO and after the loss, Volkanovski opened up about his mental health and talked about how he needs to keep busy, how he drives himself mad if he hasn't got something to do or a fight coming up. And even more recently, he spoke about, I was drinking beers for 6 weeks straight and I wasn't really in the best shape of my life, which is fair enough. He took the fight on short notice against pound for pound best fighter in the world and lost. It's fine, but it's the manner in which he lost which many people are worried about. He lost by a vicious KO and is now turning around 4 months later to fight one of the most dangerous featherweights we've had in recent times in Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, on the other hand, he's had a decent rise to the top. He got into the UFC in 2020 with a lot of hype, being undefeated. He beat Yusuf Zalal. He beat Damon Jackson. Ryan Hall at UFC 264, which was quite a brutal win where he battered Ryan Hall with ground and pound on the ground. Beat Jai Herbert, which was one of the KOs of 2022. Beat Bryce Mitchell by submission. And beat Josh Emmett just last year in a decision, which was a brilliant performance where he schooled Josh Emmett on the feet and kind of battered him across 5 rounds in an excellent striking performance. And from then onwards, we were like, well, does Ilia face Max Holloway and then get his shot for the undisputed title? Because even though he beat Josh Emmett, he wasn't the clear contender. He still has to beat more guys in the division. But with no clear contender, with the hype around Ilia Topuria being undefeated, with Alexander Volkanovski coming off a loss, the UFC has decided to make the fight at UFC 298 between these two guys. Let's look at the tail of the tape and then we'll kind of go on a deeper dive of both these guys. 26 wins, 3 losses for Alexander Volkanovski. 2 of those losses coming last year to Islam Makhachev. 14 wins, 0 losses for Ilia Topuria. 5'6" for Volk, 5'7" for Topuria, same weight. 71.5 inch reach for Volk, even though he's shorter, has a longer reach by 1.5 inches against Topuria, who has 69-inch reach, and leg reach, 36-inch leg reach for Volk and 37 leg reach for Topuria. Interesting fight. Topuria is talking a lot of smack online about Volkanovski, and Volkanovski has kind of chimed back. A lot of people are saying, due to the fact that Volkanovski is now, I believe, 35. He's 35 and he's on the decline, whereas Ilia Topuria is just he's not even, you could say he's not even reached his prime. He's 27. That age gap, Ilia Topuria is saying he's going to beat old man Volk, and he's saying it's going to be the easiest fight of his career, which is mental when you consider who he's up against. He's up against one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world right now. And in recent years, Alexander Volkanovski is an excellent fighter. The way he beat Max Holloway in that third fight is one of the greatest performances in UFC history. He schooled Max Holloway, who is another pound for pound great. And nobody saw that coming, like beating Max Holloway that bad. But Volk did that. And Topuria is saying Volk's going to be the easiest matchup of his life is a crazy statement. Topuria is very dangerous. He's very dangerous on the feet and on the ground, which bodes well for him. The only thing I would say is a knock against him, he's never been tested like Volkanovski has. He hasn't fought the best of the best. Iron sharpens iron at the end of the day, and he probably trains like a madman. But you'd want him to gradually increase until he got to Volk, maybe face a Brian Ortega or a Yair Rodriguez, and then fight for the title. He's been fast-tracked now to the title. He skipped the top of the division and gone straight for the best, which is Volkanovski. And Volkanovski is coming off that KO loss, which gives Topuria a lot of hope. And people are saying, with 4 months, has his chin recovered? I think it has. I think he got caught by a head kick. A head kick wobbled Volkanovski. We've seen what Volkanovski hit before, but not wobbled like that of punches before. And I don't think Topuria is landing a head kick on Volkanovski. I think his punches are going to do the power. But Volk's a brilliant striker. People don't give him enough credit just because he's not knocking people out. He's one of the best strikers in the UFC with his jab, with his leg kicks, with how tight he is with his defense. He's a really good striker. I think for Volkanovski, there's a quiet confidence to him. He knows when he lost to Islam Makhachev, he lost to the best in the world. And he lost on short notice, which he's not going to be like, oh man, I lost, I'm going to beat myself up about it. I think he just swipes it off and he's like, okay, let's get back again and show why I'm the best featherweight in the world. And he is that. He's arguably the best featherweight of all time in the UFC. And Ilia Topuria, I believe, is going to be in for a rude awakening. Topuria has got a great overall game. But so does Volkanovski. Volkanovski's got great grappling, great striking. He's got good defense. They're very similar how they match each other. I think Volkanovski's got the IQ and the physicality and the experience in these high-level pressure moments, which is what's going to get him over the line against Ilia Topuria. Topuria, on the other hand, is kind of like a bull in a china shop. He's raring to go and he's just going to go full at Volkanovski. And I feel like he's going to rush in and try and get that early finish, that second round KO. If he doesn't get that and he gets tired against Volkanovski, Volkanovski's going to school him throughout the fight. Because if they do grapple, Ilia Topuria is a brilliant grappler. I'm not denying it. He's got great submission wins. Like if you look at his early career, his first 7 wins were submissions. And then he submitted, obviously, Bryce Hall, who is a good grappler. Obviously, Bryce Hall's not the best submission artist, but Ilia subbed him. But I think Volk survived against Brian Ortega in those submission threats. He survived against Islam on his back when he was going for the rear naked choke. Alexander Volkanovski has great submission defense and that for Ilia Topuria is going to be a struggle. The only way I see him kind of subbing Alexander Volkanovski is if Volkanovski is complacent, or if Volkanovski gets wobbled and then he's on the ground and then doesn't know what's going on and then Ilia gets a submission, and I just don't think that's going to happen. On the feet, I think it's going to be a very close matchup. I think Ilia's got great boxing. I just think Volkanovski with his leg kicks and jab will be able to establish a brilliant game and piece up Ilia Topuria. And if Alexander Volkanovski offensively wrestles, he can do some really good work because he's a lot stronger than Ilia Topuria. Though Ilya's he seems a little bit bigger. Volk's rugby days, he's got that 220-pound frame. Well, not that 220-pound frame. He's got that 220-pound strength from back in the day. And that bodes well for Volkanovski, who can take a hit against these featherweights. He got wobbled by Islam Makhachev, who's a division above Ilia Topuria and probably way bigger than Ilia Topuria. So I just think in terms of what's going to happen, I think Ilia Topuria is going to be in for a rude awakening. And I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to school him over 5 rounds and win a decision. I think it wouldn't surprise me if the fight goes to 5 rounds and it is a close fight and Ilia goes in and wins 2 rounds and Volk wins 3 rounds and it's a very close decision. That wouldn't surprise me. They're both really good fighters. I just think Volkanovski's a level above Ilia Topuria, and there's a reason we consider him. He's pound for pound number 3 right now. He's a legendary fighter, Alexander Volkanovski is, and he's going to prove that at UFC 298 and beat Ilia Topuria by decision. The only thing I would say, their confidence levels, if Ilia can get under the skin of Alexander Volkanovski, which is very tough because Volkanovski is such a chilled and laid back character, Ilia Topuria is talking a lot of smack and he's going, if this is a poker game, he's going all in and putting his chips on, I'm going to win this hand. That confidence bodes well for him because some people, when they put the pressure on themselves, aka Conor McGregor against Jose Aldo, they go out there and do a madness and perform, and next thing you know, they're the world champion. Ilia Topuria could so easily do the same thing because, you know, as they say, pressure makes diamonds, and that could well happen to Alexander Volkanovski. And Ilia Topuria has the confidence to go, look, I'm undefeated. I've never, ever been beaten in my life. Alexander Volkanovski, you've not been beaten once. You've not been beaten twice. You've been 3 times in your career. I would never lose. And I would never lose by KO. And you've lost by KO. And so I'm going to relive that and recreate that for you on Saturday night. He can really rile up and get under the skin of Volkanovski. And that, I think, if he can mentally break Alexander Volkanovski and show him, look, I'm the guy now. Your era's done. You're the old man. And that's when I think Ilia's got a chance. If he can get under the skin of Volkanovski and rile him up and get Volk off his game, then I give Ilia a chance. If Ilia can't do that, then I think he's going to get schooled. I just think Volk's too classy, too good. I just think he's a level above every single featherweight in the world at the moment. But Saturday night will show us if I'm right or wrong. I've got Alexander Volkanovski winning by decision and schooling Ilia Topuria. Let us know down in the comments below, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday night? Do you think Ilia Topuria is going to KO Alexander Volkanovski or submit him? Or do you think it will happen the other way around? Who do you have winning? Let us know down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll catch you in the next one.